Morning, everybody. Welcome. We're going to reconvene an open session, and we'll begin with commissioners' reports and comments. Vice President Baker.
Good morning, everyone. I guess only comment I'll make is on the Alsatia Mummers Parade. I thought an excellent event. I'd like to thank everybody involved in putting on that event. I thought the whole entire route, I thought it was an outstanding crowd. From start to finish, it was 6-8 deep people, and it was just another awesome event put on by our Alsatia Club. The only negative that I would have is all along the route I kept hearing this, Randy Wagner, and then at the end I realized I'm not so sure he wasn't yelling his own name. Were you, Randy?
Maybe I was.
Some other guy was hollering $5 lights, followed us the whole time. I don't know what that meant.
But it was a great event, and I want to thank all the commissioners for participating, staff out at the county roads for putting together the trailer to haul us in. And I thought, I don't know who came up with the idea of meeting out there on Northern Avenue, but that was a great move. We didn't have to worry about how we were going to get from the end of the route to the start, and then, in the past we'd always have our vehicle at the end. But I thought that was really good just to go to Northern Avenue and get on the float. So thank you. And thank you, Doug Levine and Sam.
Commissioner Kiefer.
Yeah, ditto on the parade. I thought that was a well-attended event, and thanks to our county staff for driving their vehicles through and driving us through. Last week, I'd like to thank the Department of Business Development staff for their success last week with the Business Appreciation Week. I know they visited multiple businesses. I don't want to steal their thunder if they plan to talk about it, but I had an opportunity to travel with them on Thursday, where we visited Big Cork Heavy Metal Playgrounds, Meritus Physicians Residency Program, and Cushwell Brewing, to thank them for the employment that they bring in our community and the economic activity. Great week. And also, I had an opportunity to attend the Sunrise Rotary event on Sunday evening, where they held their annual affair. And two of the nonprofits that they chose to recognize and contribute to was the Commission on Aging and the Humane Society of Washington County, along with the Rotary's other initiatives that they hope to sponsor in-house. So that was a great event. Saw a lot of good people in the community there, and just want to congratulate our Rotary Club.
Thank you, Wayne. Commissioner Wagner.
Hey, good morning. I'm going to talk about the parade just for a second. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, we should maybe dress up next year or something. But hey, the highway, Doug and Sam, they did a great job. They were waiting on us. It was like having your own private chauffeur. We rode over on the back of it and then rode back, and they dumped me off at Market House. So I go up and sit with about 12 people in my family. We're up at Design Church. But and then, being as I have not much of a life, I watched it again on TV last night. It was even better on TV, so because you could see the whole parade that way. But I had something happen yesterday, or maybe it wasn't yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. Yeah, yesterday. That just over. I just couldn't figure it out. It was, and Rob's helping me with this. We had some people come to me. They had a huge dump truck, and they went up to the landfill, and they got turned away because they didn't take debit or credit cards. They only take cash or maybe check or Flintstone, beat it on a stone and give it to them. I don't know, but it was crazy. So I don't think anybody knew, really. I think Court said you knew so they turned them away, and they had to go the whole way to the Frederick landfill. And so Rob's working on that. So maybe we'll come into the helping be a little bit more customer friendly with take a debit or a credit card. So you can pass that on. Do you think that's possible, Rob? Can we get that done? Or?
Sure we can. We've already talked with Sarah, and I think Sarah's working with IT to get that worked out.
That'd be good. We went down to Community Action Council yesterday, some of us, for a meeting. That's a good organization. They help about everybody that needs help. Seniors, they do a ton for seniors. That's a great organization down there on Summit. So I was I didn't realize they did as much to keep people functioning and helping them out in a bad time. So that's all I have.
Commissioner
Schmidt. I've been asked about 1,000 times. Mummers Day Parade. I apologize for not being on it, but my daughter was in the Western Heights Middle School color guard, and I thought it'd be more important for me to watch her go down the parade, and so I apologize for not being there, but I was not going to miss her walking down on her first parade.
In defense of that court, on TV, they thought you were in your own private car, so you did okay.
But then I also want to give everyone a little update on two things that I've been working on with the HempCo, the Hagerstown, Eastern Maryland, or Eastern, whatever, the traffic. Two things. One, the interactive board on 70 that's right before 81. And if there's an accident, it says, hey, there's 81, you can't do anything. Working on that. They're actually talked to Linda Poffenberger from District 6. They're going to be looking at moving that before the exit 28, so it's giving two options to get off, either 28 or 24. But the more important issue, which is exciting, is the dump trucks that can't cross 81 for the 4-axle review. We've done a lot of work on finding this, and Elaine Mock, who is the chair of HempCo, but also Berkeley County Council member, is working with their federal legislation, because the West Virginia, all they have to do is approve the updated weight limits, and then we will be able to have dump trucks cross 81 and not drive through Williamsport. So we are working on that now. It's kind of exciting. Maybe after 20 years, we can have that happen. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Last week I did attend the Diversity Committee's outreach listening tour in Hancock. I too did attend the Community Action Council. They seem to be the first line of defense for someone in need, from electric to food to housing. A very important group of people helping all ages of people in our community. I did attend the Long Meadow Volunteer Fire Company open house with their $1 million+ expansion. And during their presentation, they're trying to convert from people leaving their home and jumping on a fire truck to having people already staffed there for those shifts, prepared to leave the bunk room or the rec room and jump on that fire truck immediately. So that was a tribute to them for all the halves of chickens they sold to make that come possible. And the Mummers Parade, it was rumored that the delegation had George Washington, some guy with white hair. I said it looked like Bill Weibel, but they did a good job of themselves. And I want to thank Sam and Doug for their commitment to making everything work perfect for the commissioners. And one of the other events I attended was at the library, farewell retirement, best wishes, congratulations to Mary Bicon retirement party. She was relentless on her approach in promoting the library and literacy, just not in Washington County, but throughout the state. So we wish her all the best, and congratulations on her tour of duty here in Washington County, which probably was more of a pleasure than a tour of duty. That concludes my report. Next will be reports from county staff. Anyone in the front row would like to come forward? Rachel, for the record, introduce yourself again.
Thank you. Good morning. Rachel Brown, Director of Human Resources.
Thank you.
So this morning I'm requesting an official vote for the authorization to hire for the role of Planning and Zoning Director. This is in the Division of Planning and Zoning. It is a grade 18, step 7 position with an annual salary of $87,090. The reason for the vacancy is the retirement of Stephen Goodrich. It is a full-time budgeted position that was advertised both internally and externally. There were 16 applicants with 3 interviews conducted, 1 internal and 2 external. We recommend Jill Baker to the position of Director of Planning and Zoning. Jill has a proven work ethic with Washington County. She is a person of high integrity with ambition to serve the county at the next level. Jill is not only prepared, but excited to take on additional responsibility for the county. Jill will endeavor to resolve MRGA issues with water and well service. Jill is committed to taking the AICP certification and to concluding the next comp plan update. A 1-step increase will be provided at such time she becomes certified and completes the comp plan. And she is a current county employee for 10 years.
Thank you. Commissioners, comments?
I motion to approve the recommendation of Jill Baker.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Staff reports. Anyone else available? Please come forward.
Good morning.
Good
Morning.
Good morning. I'm Garrison Plessinger, Director of the Hagerstown Regional Airport. We just wanted to come in and give you guys an update for the Allegiant Conference that we attended in Las Vegas. And excuse me, I forgot to introduce. This is John Barr, previous County Commissioner. So the Allegiant Conference went really well for us. Allegiant was really pleased with our operations as well as performance. So the Allegiant Conference, we were received good news that our Myrtle Beach flight in St. Pete Clearwater will definitely be coming back in the summer for 2020. The PI flights will start May 14th, and those will be on Sunday and Thursday. And the Myrtle Beach flight will start June 5th, and those will be on Mondays and Fridays, accompanied with Orlando, which is what we currently have still year-round on Mondays as Fridays as well as additional flights during holidays. So overall, the Allegiant Conference went really well. We're very grateful that that John was able to attend with us, and that they're very happy with Hagerstown.
I'd just like to thank the commissioners for your approval to attend what was my 6th consecutive Allegiant Air Conference, representing both Hagerstown Regional Airport and the citizens of the tri-state area. As a frequent flyer, I converse with a lot of the flight attendants and crews frequently, and about a year ago, one of the head stewards come back and got down on one knee beside me, and he said, I don't think you realize the flight attendants bid for the routes. And he says, we actually wrestle and fight over who gets to come to the Hagerstown flight pattern. So it's indicative of Garrison and his fine staff at the Hagerstown Airport, their baggage handling, the professionalism of getting people off the plane, getting people back on the plane, handling in a professional manner all the logistics and paperwork and flight pattern requirements in an expeditious manner, getting them turned around in, I think we get awards for turning them around in 40 or 45 minutes. So, like I say, being on the 6th Allegiant Air Conference for me, I've made a number of friends both in Allegiant staff. Eric Fletcher, who has moved up significantly through Allegiant's organization, we communicate and email back and forth quite frequently. And this year in particular, it seemed to be more of a camaraderie with a number of the other airports. And one of them, some of on the sidelines, communicating with people like Kurt Lovell from Myrtle Beach. Some of the discussion was around as much as decor at the airport, seasonal decor, Christmas, and that sort of thing. And there was a novel idea that, people get tired of the same thing every year, year after year. And one of the meetings we had was regarding sharing our Christmas decorations with each other, with each different airport, and maybe utilizing Allegiant to move them around and cooperate in that regard. So there's more than just meeting with Allegiant. Talking about the good, the bad, the ugly with some of the other airports, what works, what doesn't work, and picking each other's brains, and basically a peer session. So again, Garrison said it very well, but Allegiant has 3 standards that of their own internally that they kind of evaluate each of their destinations and the airports they participate in. First is no concern. Second is they're concerned. And third, seriously concerned. I'm very pleased that once again, for probably at least every year since Allegiant's been flying in and out of HGR, we are at the very top of no concern whatsoever. So they are, as Garrison said, looking at Hagerstown to return the seasonal flights, and also we've talked to the folks about other destinations, and we'll continue to press forward with that. So again, thank you for your permission to attend the conference. I'll do it again next year if you so desire at my expense. And I'd also like to thank this body for the position of going back on the airport board, advisory board. So
Thank
continue
you,
to.
Commissioner Barr, and thank you for volunteering to be an ambassador. I think what the citizens should, and we should recognize, you've done this every year at your own expense. We appreciate your expertise in keeping that vital economic development tool of our airline, Allegiant, out there, and I speak for all of us. We thank you very much.
Didn't Myrtle start a little earlier this year?
Just a day, actually. It started
Oh, is that all it
on
was?
June 6th, so it
Daggone
was
it.
just a calendar thing. That's right. Technically earlier.
I thought
but
it was like a
yes.
month or something. I don't know. So
We did talk to them about earlier in the season, particularly for the golfers, but Allegiant has their heart set on
They do, yeah.
June and July for some reason. And I'm not a golfer. Matter of fact, I hate playing. But if I was going to Myrtle Beach to play golf, I'd want to do it in probably March or April. But
and thank you for going, John. I could have went, but you got more money than me, so you paid your own way. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any commissioners, any other comments? All right, thank you, folks.
thank you.
We'll continue staff reports. Please come forward.
Brian Albert, Operations Manager, the Emergency Communications Center. I have some updates on the awards that the Numbers Board gave to us last week. We came before the commissioners on the 8th, and we requested that the support contract be, that we went for a grant before the Numbers Board for the amount of $161,925.89. After working with Motorola Solutions, we found that we were going to have a gap of 3 months. We worked with grant management, and that was reworked contract of $192,112.14, which that contract was awarded by the Numbers Board last week. It was a difference of $30,186.25. What that was going to be is that was going to take our support. It was going to have a gap in our support. So we went before the Numbers Board, and then we're amending that today in that amount. Also awarded last week was the refresh for our 911 telephone system in the amount of $2,548,807.50. That was also awarded by the Numbers Board. I don't have the date. We came before you, myself and Josh O'Neill from IT, and it was a panic alarm system for the county. That was denied by the Numbers Board. There are very specific parameters that they use to award that. Moving forward in the future, we think we'll probably have a chance for that maybe next year, but that was denied. I can't remember the exact amount, but I can get that to you. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Klein, do you mind if,
Sure.
Brian, is there any opportunity for 911 to apply for staffing, or is that solely for equipment?
There are staffing. The way the Numbers Board works and the recent legislation that happened last year that took place July 1 will, they increased the 911 tax to a per line instead of a per bill, which catches up with cellular phones. So prior to July 1, on June 30th, if you had a bill of 4 people, you only paid $1 tax. After July, and July 1 of this year, you will pay $1.25 per line. So it's going to increase that payment to $5. They expect the county's portion to increase at least double. Right now, we in the neighborhood of we receive of $800,000 toward our 911 center. We expect that to double, but we have to allow for time for that to zero itself out, because we're going to have some. It's going to really increase, and then it's going to maybe be reduced a little bit, and that's paid on a quarterly basis. So there will be some money coming into to the county over and above what we receive now from the numbers board. And then also, it will increase the trust fund, which right now they manage about $14 million a year. They're expecting it to go upwards of $80 million to be able to award. Now with that, we're going to incur cost of upgrading our 911 system, which was in the proposal that we've done to receive text to 911, short videos. We're going to have to look at storage of things, but staffing is definitely will be in the future for that number. We just don't know what that number is going to be yet.
Thank you. Any other staff like to come forward for a report?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I just want to reiterate a little bit about what Wayne alluded to. Thank everyone for your support for Business Appreciation Week. Just to give you a little idea, we had over 65 business visits with over 35 ambassadors, and they came from all over the community. So I really just want to publicly thank the commissioners for your support, the senior staff for their support and their time that they gave us for that, the Economic Development Coalition and our partners, including the Chamber, the CVB, Greater Hagerstown Committee, the PR staff who did a fabulous job helping us to get everything up as we were throughout the week with my staff on social media. So it was just a big team effort, and I just wanted to say thank you because we did have the opportunity to make some really great connections with some of our existing businesses, and some are expanding and growing, and so we learned a lot about that. But just wanted to say thank you again.
That breakfast you had on
Yes.
the ending ceremony breakfast out at
Yes.
Springfield Barn, that was well done. It was well decorated, it was well tended, and I really enjoyed that. So I think your department needs to be commended on putting that together because everybody I sat with, I made some new friends. So it was all good.
Thank you. I'll pass that along. Thanks.
Susan, if I could also mention, I forgot in my comments I wanted to remark on, but since you brought the subject back up, some of the businesses I'd visited, I'd been to before, some that I hadn't. The Emeritus Physicians Residency Program, as you know, students who graduate from medical school have to fulfill some kind of residency requirement, and there's a huge need in this country for family physicians. Emeritus received 1,000 applications from recent medical school graduates for 6 open positions at Emeritus Hospital. So I think that says a lot about our community, that hospital, the need that we have, and that was just one of my big takeaways from that day.
Yes, yeah, it's a fantastic program, and over the 3-year period that the program will be, they'll rotate 18 students through, so residents. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other staff reports? Seeing none, we'll move forward with, oops, excuse me. Just 3 people here.
Commissioners, I have requests for appointment to the Emergency Services Advisory Council. We are looking to appoint Mr. Rick Laird to serve as the Washington County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association representative to serve an unfulfilled term through March 31st of 2020. And to appoint Mr. Joe Crobeth to serve as Commissioner Ronald Schmidt's representative for an unfulfilled term through May 31st of 2021.
Commissioners, comments, support, motion?
Motion to approve. Go ahead.
First and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Krista, any other?
No, sir.
Mr. Downey, would you like to proceed?
Thank you, Commissioners. As you know, next week, Wednesday, is our meeting with the delegation to discuss legislative items for the 2020 General Assembly. The sheriff has raised an issue that he would like us to address with them specifically. It's regarding a request for authority to require that pickup trucks and utility trailers have covered loads. This is something that apparently is a problem because the Sheriff's Department has found a lot of debris along the highways going to the landfill, and they found that it's coming from uncovered loads on pickups and utility trailers, and there's there's no requirement that those loads be covered because they are specifically exempted as the law is written now. So there's a request that that be addressed with the delegation from the sheriff.
And I can say, Commissioners, staff did follow up after a question of similar nature in Clear Spring, and that's exactly why they don't have the enforcement authority, because it's only the larger vehicles. I forget if it's gross vehicle axle weight or what it is, but what's pointed out here has definitely been a concern for the landfill and citizens.
Guess you're looking for a consensus to add that to our meeting.
I was always under the impression that you had to have everything covered when you go into the landfill. I've actually heard that law enforcement would ticket.
The larger axle
It is
vehicles.
for,
only
yes,
larger
for,
axle?
for certain size vehicles, various commercial size vehicles over a certain axle weight.
Sergeant Sanders is here. He can provide
Sergeant Sanders,
specific
would you
information.
want to come forward? Introduce yourself, please.
Sergeant Darrell Sanders, I'm with the Patrol Division of the Sheriff's Department. This actually came about as a request of Major Lozich to look into the problem with the littering on Route 40 at Earth Care Road. During one of my assignments there, I was approached by a Frederick County deputy who formerly worked for the Sheriff's Office, who's in a commercial vehicle unit in Frederick County. And he warned me that the current law in the transportation article exempts specifically trucks, I believe, less than 3/4 ton, and Class G trailers, which are the utility trailers that are pulled behind pickup trucks. And they are exempt from having canvas covers on them, as the law states. The difference where there does become enforcement authority for law enforcement is when they put the wooden side panels and enclosures on the trucks and trailers, and then they become enforceable, and they're required to have a tarp or a canvas over the loads. Frederick County specifically enacted an ordinance with a civil fine of $100 for violations of vehicles coming into the landfill without proper covering of the loads on trucks, pickup trucks and trailers.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, comments, questions?
Just another reason to accept debit and credit cards, because my dump truck left there yesterday and went to Frederick County. Probably, of course, it was probably covered, but.
Commissioners, you okay for this being discussed next week with the delegation? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Downey, any other?
That's it.
Administrator Slocum, comments?
President Klein, thank you. 2 housekeeping matters, 3 schedule matters, and a legislative question for you and for Kirk. First is housekeeping, Student Day success. Thanks to Michelle Dwyer, and thank you to the commissioners. Thank you to Commissioner Wagner for bringing this up and being a topic. We will be repeating it next semester. All high schools are welcome to participate, public and private. We had a high school after the fact reach out to us and say, can they join next semester? Absolutely. Wonderfully successful day.
Homeschool as well.
The one that asked recently is Goretti. So we had sent out to all schools and are looking for participation for all high schools. So please, if anyone knows, repeat in the spring semester. We'll be sending that application process out again. Hope to have 100% participation. Second housekeeping matter, fire company. Treasurer reached out to me and said what a wonderful job Sarah, her office, Daryl Brown, is doing answering questions through the accounting practices. It is a very difficult process, but Sarah and your staff, thank you very much. I know it's time consuming, and they have taken ownership in that process. I'd like to thank them. 3 schedule matters, very busy day for you commissioners. There is a New Heights Industrial Park opening of Top Flight, 12:30. Fairchild Manufacturing Facility, as you know, and there will be an aircraft on display from loan of the Hagerstown Aviation Museum. So should be an interesting visit to have unofficially on your agenda, and hopefully former Commissioner Barr has left, but hopefully we'll see him out there as well. Second thing is the Public Safety Training Center groundbreaking is at 3 o'clock today. There will be limited parking on the site, so we will have parking off-site and be shuttling you, so the public is welcome to join us. It will be a short ceremony out there. Please be careful if you're anywhere near Sharpsburg Pike because that parking is very limited, so we want you to be careful out there. And again, 6 o'clock evening meeting, Morgansville this evening. So, last thing I have for you, similar to legislative thought for your consideration, it has been brought up to have for next week's meeting if SDAT, State Department of Assessment and Taxation, should be queried to see if they can apply the similar rules to trailers, mobile homes, pre-manufactured units consistently, regardless of lot ownership, and that may, to some extent, help address the gentleman's concerns that have been in regarding assessments.
Commissioners, you okay with that being added to our discussion next Tuesday, November 6th? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Seeing no more staff reports, next we have Leslie Hart. Please bring your folks, guests forward. Whoops. Go ahead. We'll do this and then go back.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Leslie Hart with the Washington County Department of Business Development, and I am here today along with Jill Hudson, who is our president of the Washington County Ag Marketing Committee, and we are going to be presenting to you the 2019 and 2020 Farm of the Year.
Hi, good morning. I am pleased to announce Palmyra Farms as recipients of the 2019-2020 Washington County Farm of the Year. This marks the 9th year Washington County has recognized a Farm of the Year. The winning farm showcases excellence in agriculture and promotes a greater understanding of the challenges faced by today's farmers. Production, conservation, preservation, community involvement, and dedication to farming and agriculture is a gold standard for this award. Palmyra Farms is a 170-acre dairy farm owned and operated by the Shank and Creek families. Brothers Ralph Shank and sister Mary Creek have dedicated their lives to producing high-quality Ayrshire and Holstein cattle. Palmyra Farms has represented Washington County at the state, regional, and national levels, attending and competing with their award-winning cows. Recently, at the 2019 World Dairy Expo, Ralph and Mary were honored as designated breeders by the National Dairy Shrine, placing this brother-sister team and Palmyra Farms into the National Dairy Hall of Fame. Mary Creek is a past recipient of the Dairy Woman of the Year Award in 2012. Palmyra Farms was recognized as a master breeder by the National Ayrshire Association 2011. Palmyra Farms is home to two-time reigning world champion Ayrshire Ruth, a very spoiled cow, and is the breeder of the 6-time consecutive premier bull of the World Dairy Expo, Burdett. Additionally, Palmyra Farms has been producing the farm-to-table cheese, a business that was started over 10 years ago, and in 2019 alone, approximately 2 million pounds of milk have been turned into 10 tons of cheese. Palmyra Farms and the Shank and Creek families exemplify leadership qualities in the dairy industry and as a premier breeder of the Ayrshire cattle. Palmyra Farms dedicated to the community in reflecting in their timeless support of the agricultural youth in the community through training, coaching, mentoring, and animal husbandry standards. Congratulations, Palmyra Farms. You're the 2019-2020 Farm of the Year.
So Palmyra Farm will receive a plaque, which I'm going to hand to them here today. They'll also receive a proclamation from the commissioners, and we also have a wooden plaque award that will have their family photo placed on it. Our public relations department will go out and do a photo shoot that we will utilize those photos all year in marketing and advertising efforts.
Good. Thank you.
Are you up for a picture?
No.
behalf of all the commissioners, your efforts, tireless effort to be the best that you're ever. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. On behalf of the County Commissioners of Washington County, Maryland, we'd like to present the certificate of recognition to Palmyra Farm. We, the Board of County Commissioners of Washington County, Maryland, hereby applaud Palmyra Farm on achieving the 2019-2020 Washington County Farm of the Year. In recognition of over 50 years and 5 generations of Shank and Creek families dedicated to the Ayrshire breed of cattle in the local, state, national, and international dairy industry, we value your continued commitment to the agricultural youth and community through education, training, and sharing of your vast knowledge of the dairy industry. Thank you for making artisan cheese products from the very best cows that live at Palmyra Farm, and we wish you many more years of success in your flourishing business. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Here we go. You two hold on to that. That's yours. Commissioners, please join us for another photo op. You guys get right in the middle.
Okay. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. Great, thank you.
You threw it back there.
Get them away from me.
I'll take
Right, I want to go back one item, citizens' participation. Is there anyone in the audience any citizens to participate? Seeing none, we will next go to intergovernmental cooperative purchase of a 2020 Ford Super Duty truck. Please introduce yourself. Welcome.
Mark Bradshaw, Engineering Services.
Mike Smith, Department of Water Quality.
Brandy Noggle, Purchasing Department. The first recommendation I have for you this morning is for the intergovernmental cooperative purchase of one new 2020 Ford Super Duty F550 truck with electric crane. The recommended motion is to move to authorize by resolution the purchase of one 2020 Ford Super Duty truck with electric crane to 72 Hour LLC, doing business as National Auto Fleet Group out of Watsonville, California, at the cost of $92,678, and to utilize another jurisdiction's contract. The Sourcewell contract, Sourcewell, formerly known as the National Joint Powers Association, awarded this contract for a period of January 17th of 2017 to January 17th of 2021. The Code of Public Law of Washington County provides that the Board of County Commissioners may procure goods and services through another entity's contract. The contract, I believe the county will benefit in a direct cost savings that this contract has leveraged. I did want to also mention that this originally was put out for bid on July 3rd of this year, and we received no bids back for it. This truck has been budgeted in Water Quality's capital improvement budget.
Commissioners, comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
First and a second, any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Next up, contract award for gasoline. Randy, welcome back.
Thank you.
Mr. Zine.
The next recommendation I have for you is for the contract award 1444 for gasoline and diesel fuel deliveries. Move to award the bids for gasoline and diesel transport and tank wagon deliveries under option number 1, which is 4 separate contracts to the responsible bidder with the lowest bid. Section number 1 for gasoline tank wagon deliveries, recommend to award that to AC&T out of Hagerstown, Maryland. Section number 2 for gasoline transport deliveries, recommend to award that to Petroleum Traders out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Section number 3, diesel tank wagon deliveries, recommend to award that to AC&T out of Hagerstown, Maryland. Section number 4 for diesel transport deliveries, recommend to award that to Petroleum Traders out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. The bid tabulation or estimated quantities for the contract period tentatively to begin December 1st of this year and end November 30th of next year. The contract is for a 1-year period with no option to renew. This is for county requirements only, and the county guarantees no minimum or maximum. This was listed on the Maryland Marketplace website, the county's website, and the local newspaper. 24 companies downloaded the document. We did receive 6 bids back. 1 was deemed non-responsive.
Zane, educate me here. What's the difference between gasoline tank wagon and gasoline transport?
One is like a home delivery, I don't know, maybe 2,500, 3,000 gallon. The
Right.
other one's a full-size tanker.
Okay.
And funds are budgeted in various departments' budget for this. And the City of Hagerstown and the Washington County Public Schools and Hagerstown Community College will make their own separate recommendation. They also utilize this contract.
Commissioners, comments, questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the contracts.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
First and a second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, bid award swimming pool wastewater. Welcome back.
Hello, Jeremy Moos, Department of Water Quality.
The last recommendation I have for you this morning is for the bid award PUR 1445 for swimming pool water and wastewater treatment chemicals. Move to award the bid for swimming pool water, wastewater treatment chemicals to the responsible bidders as listed in your ARF. The county accepted bids on October 9, 2019 for the chemicals using county departments and the city of Hagerstown, using departments of the county and the city of Hagerstown. This bid advertisement was listed on Maryland Marketplace, the county's website, and the local newspaper. 40 companies downloaded the document, and we did receive 16 bids back. The term of the contract is for a 1-year period with no option to renew. The contract will start December 1st of this year, ending November 30th of next year. And again, the city will make its own recommendation for award on this contract. And funds have been budgeted in the Water Quality Department and Parks and Recreation.
Commissioners, questions, motion, comments?
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
First and second, any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, contract award financial advisor services. Rick Curry, welcome.
Morning. Rick Curry, Director of Purchasing.
Kelsey Mace, Deputy Director of Budget and Finance.
Subject before you is contract PUR 1446, Financial Advisor Services. Move to award the contract for financial advisor services to responsible firm of Davenport and Company LLC of Townsend, Maryland, with the total 5-year proposal value of $75,000, plus out-of-pocket expenses related to the bond issues, and hourly rates for each classification to be used for extra work as listed in the ARF. As you can see in the ARF, it's listed the individuals who served on their coordinating committee who evaluated the proposals. The proposal was listed in the various medias, email and marketplace, newspaper, on the county's website. You can also see the number of individuals who downloaded the document. The services are to begin December 1st and ending first year with November 30th, 2020. And also you can see on your price proposal, the breakdown for the years 2 through 5.
Commissioners, any comments, questions?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
First and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, contract award, emergency services, special procedures, and auditing services.
Warranty contract PUR 1447, emergency service special procedures, auditing services. Recommended motion to award the contract for the emergency services special procedures and auditing services to responsible firm of SB and Company LLC of Owings Mills, Maryland, with the lowest total proposal value of $40,500 for attestation, special procedures, plus schedule of professional fees for supplemental service if required by the county, and also for the lowest total proposal value of $50,400 for the auditing service of financial procedures, plus schedule of professional fees for supplemental services if required by the county. Also, you can see the rates that will be charged for any work that's additional to what's being asked in the proposal. We received 4 proposals. Of those 4 proposals, they were deemed to be qualified. So we did a price evaluation, and that's when SB was selected to be the county's firm to do the auditing services in our station. And also you have a copy of the scope of work that was in the RFP that was used for the scope of work and the evaluation of the firms.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If I can. I was kind of interested to see that the scope of the work is broken down by individual companies. I suppose in hindsight that does make sense. Why the variance among the companies? Some larger company, CRS, that has multiple locations, I kind of understand that, but
The variance in the cost.
Yeah, even-
It's the complexity of the company itself, size mostly. CRS by far is the largest.
okay.
This, you done, Wayne? Are you okay? Yeah, I guess so. This audit, how thorough? I mean, there's different levels. What level is this that we priced?
What we received pricing on was, number one, some attestation services, which are like special procedures that they're going to do to test certain things. And then there's a second component, which is an actual financial audit.
So is there an audit above this? I just like there's just a review, is this?
There's a compilation, a review, and an audit.
Right.
And then aside from that, any agreed upon procedures. What is listed here in the RFP is the audit. It is not a compilation. It is not a review. It is an
So
audit.
this
which
should
is
tell
the
us
highest
something. I
level.
guess the next question, and maybe an issue with me, is this is only 1 year, right?
This is for a one-year audit, yes.
I thought we had discussed 2 years plus.
I thought it was if we were gonna do a 1 year, and then if we found stuff, we could go 2 years.
Right, that's how I remember. Is to take a look and see what the cost was for the 1 year, because we didn't really know what this was going to look like. I mean, the numbers come back promising, so.
Well, we already have some issues in the county, so we already know. So we're going to audit all these right now. I think there's 9 audits there, it looks like.
In this round, yes.
So the proposal is to audit 1 and
1
then.
year, all 9 1 year.
Yeah, I understand. And then if there's, who determines if the red flags does require a second audit?
That would come back to you, Commissioner Wagner. The other consideration was with the number of companies being audited and how far back. The further back you go, the more time it takes to go further
Understand.
back.
Okay.
So to try to get results for you, for the board, and do it in a cost-effective manner, we went with this.
So, Sarah, in your opinion, 1 year will tell us a lot?
I think 1 year is sufficient for this. Don't forget the agreed upon procedures that are one portion of this. I think will be even, in my opinion, may be even more valuable than the audit to you. So it will be interesting to see the results of those procedures.
All right, thank you.
And Commissioner, I think we did discuss that once we see the results of the 1 year globally, there could be a decision even made to go back and look at additional years, even in a global world. So we decided it could be as a single company. If one company just looked interesting in something we wanted to know more about, we could just do one company, or you could go back and say, okay, we see this, we want to go back and look at 2 or 3 more years for all 9.
So, for instance, the company we're auditing now, how many years did we go back? Because we found some. How many years did we go back?
So we're not doing a full audit on that company. We're doing an
Okay.
audit or a review of their 401k, but we've actually gone back since inception on that to find any irregularities in how they made
So
contributions.
you're going as needed, what you see?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, to Commissioner Wagner's question, if we do have to go back further years, an organization our size, we have a record retention policy. Do these smaller companies with a volunteer staff, with volunteers, with a small staff, how far back do they keep their records?
I don't think there's a clean answer today, Commissioner. I think that's one of the variables that we don't know, and probably problematic in the world of actually starting out with multiple years is they may not have records that even can be audited. I mean, there's certainly a possibility of that. I would hope that's not the scenario, but it is one of the conversations we talked about is there's a likelihood that there could be a company that won't have enough records to really be able to drive a true audit. So I think we got to get a look at this, and I think from a responsible standpoint, going into 1 year with the dollars and cents that are being presented here today is our most logical first step. It doesn't mean it has to be the last step.
Yeah.
The other aspect is IRS-wise, a 501 may or may not have certain time limits that they have to by law. So we can look into that as well. And just for clarification for the record, Commissioner Wagner, you pointed out to us auditing a company. That's actually being done by their board. Their board is doing that audit.
That is correct.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah, we're obviously we're paying for these. And a time frame at 3 months to get this done?
It's a 180-day cycle with a up to 90-day performance incentive. So we could have these in 3 months, or part of them.
Explain to me what attestation is.
Attestation is just a fancy word for special procedures or additional specific procedures. So what we've tried to do in this RFP is write in some very specific procedures that we think should be looked into for these companies to tell us a little bit more about how they're managing their organizations, or maybe even looking into some specific pay-related issues that we would like to know more about.
Because when they audit the companies, they're only going to be audited what's presented to them.
When they audit the companies, it's a financial audit. So they will look and see, have the financial statements been presented in accordance with fairly and free from any material misstatements. So that's what they're looking for in the audit. The special procedures get more defined and can really get into some of the nooks and crannies of the organization itself. So that's why those are beneficial.
I would ask for a layman's terms on this, Sarah, if this is correct, is that the attestation looks more toward the policy and procedure aspects of the review to see if monies were spent in accordance with policy and procedure, or if those policy and procedures are in place?
Yes, if that's how they're written, yes.
So, and you said this is for 9 companies.
It would be the 8 EMS companies in the Washington County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association.
So that's one of my questions. The fire companies will be the second phase. We're gonna,
If you so choose, but yes, we would
'cause I'm
expect that
thinking-
would be.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm just trying to comprehend how much money are we actually going to be spending on this? I mean, are we going to spend upwards to $1 million by the time it's all said and done?
The bid's for $40,000 and $50,000.
Yeah, but that's
So
what
the
for 9
total bid
companies.
here for just the attestation and the audit for these companies comes to around $90,000. If there's the performance incentive on top of that.
Correct.
Then possibly an additional $45,000, depending on when those will be completed.
So what do we hope to gain from all of this? We're going to, in the end, are we going to be telling the companies how we expect them to record their expenditures and do their reports? If we're going to do that, why wouldn't we just do that now and save all this money?
I think there's more than just that, Commissioner. It's the ideal to look and see where tax dollars are being spent specific, and is it recorded?
I thought years ago that we'd already said that they were, all of the county money that these companies spend would go back to our accounting, to your office, for you to look, to be sure that they are spending them appropriately.
I think there are a few things that have happened recently. Number one, we've put into place the accounting and review procedures that take a more specific approach for how the funds that are distributed to the companies are being spent through a reimbursement through the firm that we're contracted with. So I think that's number one. I think there was some initiative from some of the commissioners to extend that into an audit, which kind of transformed into an audit and an option for these agreed upon procedures, this attestation that we've talked about based on some results from one of the other companies that had been looked into. So, I mean, that kind of comes back to the commissioners for more discussion to make sure you want to move forward with that. But that's why staff has brought both options to you, the attestation and the audit, for consideration.
It seems as if we've had, I'm totally for this. And it seems like we've had 3 red flags already, huge red flags that I can think of. And I think you agree.
Yeah.
And how can we expect to help first responders the whole way across the board if we can't help them manage their businesses better? And we're using taxpayers' money.
Right.
And it's just, I just can't keep, me personally, can't keep going on like this where we just keep shoveling money out and we're not holding anybody accountable for it. It's like I give my kid 50 cents allowance and he goes in the arcade and comes back and needs another 50 cents. I mean, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying we found that these companies need help and we're helping them.
It's unfortunate throughout decades now, really, but even in recent history, we've had instances where there were things going on that we either couldn't see, we didn't know about, or we had no reason to expect or suspect. So this, I think some of the gains you had asked about, Commissioner, are it lets us look at the policies and procedures that are in, at this point, 9 different agencies, potentially 26 different agencies over the course of the evolution of these audits. And where there are huge variances, we can potentially offer conversation about streamlining those so that they're more systematic and they're not so varied. And in other things, and I've heard this from several companies, we welcome this effort because we want to know, we think we're doing everything right, but in some cases we're not accountants and we're not experts in some of these things that we're managing and the dollars that we're managing. We want to know if we're right, and if we're not, we're going to do everything we can to fix it. And I applaud that approach from the departments that have made that statement, and it's not just one. I've heard that from several. So I think there's a lot of value in here that we've not been able to measure at this level in the entire time I've been in the system, which is more than a day or two. And I think there are people like me that share that same.
So based on what you're asking for here today, what's the minimum amount that we're going to, this is going to cost, and what do you see as the maximum amount possible for what you're recommending here today?
So to try to answer a question you asked earlier, and this is using just a hypothetical.
Sure, I mean, there's numbers all over the
If this
place
cost
here.
is $90,000 collectively, and this covers 9 entities, there are 26 total, you would theoretically say we would repeat this cost in some manner at least 2 times. And if there's a performance measure still in the future, that would be an additional $90,000 on top of that if they fully executed that. So $270,000 plus another 150, just put it that, you're looking at probably just around $400,000 to do it all.
So Dave,
Just clarification, for this today.
Not today.
The
Not today.
attestation, 40,000, the audits came in around 50,000, and then if you add the performance incentive, the max would be around $135,000 for what is presented to you today.
Now, if I am correct in this, we could choose to do one or the other.
That's correct.
Dave, a question I have, and Sarah, to be quite honest, I was under the impression even our fire companies were going to be looked at with this audit. I've spoken to some fire chiefs, and I think that may have been their thought too, along the way. As we go through these audits and these reviews, and we have the leverage, the leeway, the board to dig a little deeper if we needed to. What's our goal if something's found or something that, obviously an oversight on someone's part? We have volunteer accountants at many of these organizations that we're going to find that.
Yeah,
What are we going to do with the information we find?
So I think what we try to use the information first for is either education or re-education and where they should or need to be and provide tools. I'm not advocating, and I don't think anybody in this room is advocating this becomes punitive from day one. We'd only get into that type of war if there was something was found that was malicious. But it's very possible, and I think likely, that we would find some issues in how people are doing their accounting and things like that. And that's where we provide the tools back to them as a county, that we can help them be in a better position to be good stewards of their money and maybe even find efficiencies that they were not able to see or encumber through what they have as a knowledge base current.
I have just one or two comments. You answered it. It's 9, possibly could be the other fire companies in the future. The decision to review further than 1 year, will each company's results be brought to us automatically, no matter what we decide for us to hear each individual's company's economic status?
Yes.
And the decision to go further would be from the commissioners based on we'll have 9 reports to the commissioners on this.
Yeah, you may have one report which encompasses all 9 companies and
I don't think any of us are doing this for punitive measures.
I just
And the cost savings and the value comes in that's showing how these fire companies can more effectively, more efficiently use their money, and over time, times 10 years, the value in this is rewarded back to the taxpayers. Maybe we have an initial 1 year cost that some may deem costly, but over time, we reap the rewards of much more money being effectively used to our volunteer system to help the citizens, and that's why I support this proposal.
If I could offer just a little perspective, about $7.5 million per year goes from the county to the volunteer fire and rescue and to the EMS. This portion is just EMS, so it's less than that. But for instance, Sarah's office just went through approximately 30 days of annual auditing that they do on their own with a third party. This is akin to that for taxpayer dollars. That's why we're holding ourselves to this same level of accountability that you are contemplating here today. So there's no disparity in these processes, if that helps at all.
So this is not going to get to the point where we're going to be telling these companies how to micromanage the funds that they go out and raise on their own.
No, I wouldn't expect that. I think it really gets down to, Commissioner, looking at the emergency services fiscal policy, which says where they should be spending that money at. And if they're in that window.
Spending that money, you're talking about the county's portion or the portion that they go out and raise?
Well, first and foremost, the county's portion of that, but I think you could certainly say that all of it should be looked at to some level to say the reason you're able to raise that money is because you're authorized to operate as a fire emergency services facility or entity. So I think there's, in my opinion, there's a strong argument that all money is attached to taxpayer money. Plus, it commingles. Where's that line of separation at in bank accounts and all of that type of stuff? But I think, to go back to the question, Commissioner, I don't see us trying to say that you can't buy fire truck X as long as it fits the emergency services fiscal policy. We may say, did you need fire truck X if fire truck M could have worked? But I don't see us moving into that arena.
If they raise the money, that's, my opinion is, if they're raising the money for a specific fire truck, then that's their right to get the truck that they're trying to raise money for.
Exactly.
I mean, that's my opinion.
If I can offer, Commissioner Baker, even as an example, one of the agreed upon procedures relates to billing revenue. And so the procedure is designed to say, how do you do your billing? And tries to dig into some of the details related to that. So if there's a better way to do that, I think that's kind of what we're looking for as opportunities to benefit the company.
And then we're going to do both?
That is up to you, commissioners.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'd motion to accept both.
I second.
I have a first and a second. Any other discussion?
Are we saying the S&B company at attestation and auditing? That's what we, okay. That's double checking.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Any other discussion?
I'm sorry, I didn't pick up what you said.
I was making sure the motion was for both because we have S&B and Company LLC Owings doing attestation and the auditing. I was just making sure that's what the motion was.
What it is. Okay. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, commissioners. Good discussion. Thank you, Director Hayes. Terry, I think you could raise proof for fire truck. They put that in a bank account for separate. That keeps it. All right. Next up, alternate mitigation contribution formula changes. Kirk Downey, Steve Goodrich.
Good morning, everyone. Steve Goodrich, Director of Planning and Zoning. A couple of weeks ago, the commissioners had a discussion about school adequacy and, in particular, the alternate mitigation contribution, or what we refer to as the AMC. There's your acronym for the day, AMC. This contribution is a method in the form of a payment to achieve subdivision or site plan approval when a proposed new development is predicted to cause a public school to exceed its capacity. That's what we use the AMC for. The AMC is a formula. It has 5 variables that include the average cost of one school seat, the life expectancy of a school, the average pupil generation rate, the number of years that a student might spend in a public school. That would be variable D. That's the one that we talked about at length a couple of weeks ago, and you decided that you wanted to have changed. And then the final item, the final variable, is the number of units in the development that's under review. As a result of that discussion, the commissioners determined that it would be appropriate to change variable D, the number of years that are spent, that a student would spend in a public school. Currently, variable D is 13 years. That accounts for kindergarten through 12th grade. And you wanted to have that changed to 14 years because pre-K is almost universal at this point, and we expect that it will be a requirement in the very near future. So you wanted to go from 13 years to 14 years. So we made that change to the formula, and in the resolution that you have in your agenda, it says that variable D will now be 14. In your agenda material, you also have a version of the AMC worksheet where I show you the figures that we currently use in the formula, and there's one line on that sheet for each of the 3 types of development that shows variable D being changed to 14 years instead of 13. On that worksheet, there's 3 categories: apartments, townhomes, and single family. And under each heading, you have the original or the current formula and the figures that go into the current formula, and that number would be highlighted in yellow. The row is labeled original. And then 2 rows down, you have the label that says D only, and you can see that column D has been changed to 14. While we were doing this evaluation and this proposed change, we looked at the rest of the formula to determine if there were any other figures that needed to be updated. And we concluded that variable C, which is the average pupil generation rate, that C would be appropriate to look at and update. So we also updated that figure, and the chart that you have that that shows the various versions of the formula. The second line, the line under the original line, will show you how changing C will change the end result. Then you see the change to D, and then you also see a combination of the changes to C and D. And the end results are in the column right next to D, where you can see, for example, the original AMC for an apartment would be 2142. There's the figure for changes to C, the figure for changes to D, and then if you change C and D, the per unit AMC would be 2307, and so on and so forth for townhomes and for single-family dwellings. Over to the far right on this chart, you'll see the actual change in dollars and then the percentage change based on each one of those changes to the formula. So the recommended motion in the resolution is to approve changes to variable C and D. And if that's your preference, then you can go ahead and adopt the resolution the way it's prepared. If you prefer to only change variable D, which is the number of years that a student would spend in the school, you can certainly do that as well. That was your original request, so we just took another step and looked at both of them. So you have the options of approving the change with variable C only, with variable D only, or with both of them together. And the results of each one of those are in the chart.
Can you explain to me what the average pupil generation rate is?
The Board of Education calculates for us a pupil generation rate for each school and each type of dwelling unit. And you have their chart also in your agenda material that shows you the rate for each school and for each type of dwelling since 2006. And you can see that it's a fraction of a student in that under elementary school and the single family heading. You have the figure 0.38. That's saying that a single-family dwelling will generate 0.38 students from each unit. And as you go down the column, you'll see how that figure has changed since 2006. We use these individual numbers in the school tests, but we average these figures in the AMC formula. So you'll notice a difference. I'm hoping this is where you're going. You'll notice a difference in the AMC formula. It's not the exact numbers that are in this sheet from the Board of Ed because it's an average in the formula.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Commissioners, comments, questions? There's a call for a recommended motion.
And I'll motion to approve the resolution to increase the variable C and D.
Is there a second?
I second.
I have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Would this be your last presentation to the commissioners?
Will this be my last one? No, I seriously doubt that. No.
So
You're not going to get off that easy.
We don't have cake ready today.
Okay.
So we're anticipating your arrival again. Thank you very much. Mr. Slocum?
President Klein, Commissioners, we'd like to postpone the next item, the Solid Waste Supervisor Consolidation Plan, to allow further considerations of personnel and other aspects of the proposal, if that's okay with you.
I see a couple nods.
I agree.
Okay.
Fine with me.
I'd like to acknowledge that Mr. Mason's here and his effort on this and thank him for that work.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, one last item up, the Bruce Bariano letter of service for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Klein. So a October 11, 2019 letter received here October 17. It is regarding the services of Mr. Bruce Bariano for January 1st through December 31st of 2020. There are 14 matters, as you can see in the letter, that he would provide under the scope of services. And the request is for board consideration at a one-time fee of $10,000. And Mr. Bariano, Kirk memory may go back further on this in working with him. I do believe last year he was provided these services, and I do believe in prior years before that he had provided services as well.
Commissioners, any discussion, comments?
I would like to say that I know when I was down in Annapolis during session, he was very helpful to me if I needed meetings with any other senators or delegates. He set those up very quickly for us on any of our county agendas. And then also, the one thing I want to put into consideration, I know that we do support the coalition, and I think that's a great thing that we do. I remember the coalition has to be unanimous for the coalition to support it. So Bruce on our side can have something that is just on our agenda, not on the coalition's agenda. So I do support it.
And my dad was a wise guy. He was wise. He died at 94, 95. And 8th grade education, blue collar worker. He always told me something I'll never forget. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And I just think we need all the help we can get down there. Our legislators are outnumbered. They do the best they can, but with mostly the other party controlling everything, doesn't help to have somebody down there watching your back and trying to get you something. So anyway, I'd support it.
Any other comments?
My comments just same as last week. I appreciate your comments, Commissioner Monschmidt. I was actually in a conversation with our lobbyist from the Lobbying Coalition, John Favazza, very recently about an issue that wasn't necessarily in the booklet, but he's certainly available if we have questions or need something outside of that scope. So I think personally I'll be a no.
Okay. Any other comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve Bruce Bariano as the county's lobbyist.
I'll second.
First and second, any other comments?
What was the amount?
For $10,000. Same as last year.
Time. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
3-2, motion passes. And please inform Mr. Bariano. Thank you. Right. I think we now are going to reconvene, or recess, excuse me. And those who want to go at the top flight, that's 12:30. See you on the Sharpsburg Pike at 3. And is it Clear Spring at 6?
Morgansville.
That was a test to see who was paying attention. 6 o'clock at Morgansville. Thank you.
Where's the parking? Yes.
Parking at